When is a calming order not a calming order? When it's been imposed on manor apartments, it would seem. This afternoon, we had the noise officer from Westminster, one of them, come out today to more or less tell me that the calming order on which we've placed our lives and our hopes and our time is not worth the paper it's written on. Why is that? Because it cannot be ascertained when is a slab drill not a slab drill? And it seems to hang on this academic point. The human ear knows what a slab drill is because it's the kind of noise that forces you onto the forecourt out of your flat. But apparently a slab drill is a waist-high drill that is used outside and worked with two hands and is a very big object, half the size of a man. A workman, that is. So all the other gradations of slab drills, or drills shall we say, masonry drills, floor drills, these are not percussive drills. These are not demolition drills. So one has to beg the question, why was the calming order imposed in the first place if it can neither be policed nor does it when it can carry no weight? Things kicked off today at 10 o'clock in the calming period in Old Manor Court. There were 2 or 3 infringements which we all had to ignore as the normal course of workmen being allowed to do their work. But then at 20 past 11, full slab drilling started to take place in flats 10 and 12. I made a short video of this which I will send on to YouTube. I realised that I had reached a level of terror behind my door in my flat that was simply not dealable with any longer. I knew that the calming order had been swept aside. I knew that at 8 o'clock when I counted 9 cars in the garage area at the back of my flat and another van in the stairwell where the fire escape is located at the back of the block. I knew that work would be steaming ahead today, come what may. And my fears were proven to be correct. I decided to go back to my placard, my protest on the forecourt, in the hopes that public opinion can be mobilised to get in legislation, to bring in some kind of legislation that will ensure that a calming order is a calming order and not a placebo to calm our nerves, to deceive us into believing we have a calming order and then for the drill to go in for the kill, which is what has happened today. And still there is nothing we can do. The calming order has been swept aside. The noise officer has been out with an Alice in Wonderland scenario that workmen have to work. They have to drill. They have to sledgehammer. They will have to create as much dust as this generates, and granite will be drilled in the flats and cut for the work surfaces. As we speak, in Abbey Court, slab drilling is taking place across there. I can hear it on the 2nd floor at the front, and just round the corner, slab drilling is taking place. What can be done? Absolutely nothing. All it is a war of terror, urban terror, behind our closed doors. There's a man who is disabled here who heard the slab drilling this morning in the quiet period. He said he couldn't hear his television on, turned full on. And it doesn't matter that you're tenants with no rights. One of Bruce Rich's 1.5 million flats, one of which of the 4 has been sold at the front, they're just as much a victim as I am. Today, they've had to endure the same slab drilling and gave me a wave when they saw my placard saying 11 weeks of slab drilling. It's actually longer if we take in the 3 weeks of flat 15, which is also being renovated privately and was one of the first to start slab drilling before Stone Forces drills kicked in on or about the 8th of April. It's an Alice in Wonderland scenario here. You don't know that a calming order can affect calm. The slab drills are paramount. They must be allowed to slab drill. When is a slab drill not a slab drill? And on these finer points, we cower in terror behind our front doors. It puts me in mind very much in Manor Apartment of the time running up to Christmas. The 13th of December to be exact, when my flat was broken into. There is a relevance here because Manor Apartments was broken into 4 times. There were 4 distinct burglaries and 4 crime numbers. The first was my neighbour in flat 2 who was out for a few minutes across the road. He did owe some rent arrears and he would be needed to be got out anyway, but it was a very good short circuit to his exit. He was robbed, came back half an hour later and left the flat never to come back. That happened about 4 weeks before my flat was burgled too. Round the back, a fully locked window with window locks, sash windows sealed, completely smashed, broken into, staved in with demolition tools. I had only left the flat for 6 minutes to go for my tea at John and Elizabeth's. How a delinquent gang of youths going round the Abbey Road could actually be relied upon to know that I was leaving my flat to go to John and Elizabeth's, which I did every night at the same time, 6 o'clock thereabouts. They would have had to have been waiting in the shadows, knowing that I would be leaving. And I would be out of my flat for 40 minutes, sometimes less. When I came back, all the equipment to do with communication had been lifted. My flat ransacked and no redress, no acknowledgement by residential land that my flat had been broken into because, of course, I'm a Granger tenant. The police came out, the forensics did their job, they were very supportive, and I have to say that the community policeman, Lee, was wonderful. He's based at St John's Wood. He gave his own time to speak with me and be with me the next day when all the rest of the police had melted away. Flat 2 was also broken into. Thousands of pounds in technical equipment stolen. Again, in the short time that 4 or 5 young men were out of their flat. They used to return quite late in the evening, and one has to assume that the burglary took place during the hours of darkness. Flat 12 was broken into, a door staved in. These were violent burglaries. Locked doors, locked windows, staved in. Afterwards, according to residential land, they could be got to acknowledge that only one burglary might have taken place in flat 2. Because, of course, break-ins have to be declared when the blocks are sold, the flats are sold, so these were airbrushed out of existence. Everyone in this block felt uneasy. Some tenants began to arm themselves, and we all felt it was an inside job. But of course, there was nothing we could do. The council put grills on my windows, which at least is a safeguard for me. At some cost, some community grant for the elderly, so I'm safe. I don't think there'll be any more burglaries in Manor Apartments. So it's a world of make-believe here. You can do nothing about burglaries, you can do nothing about slab drills, even when a calming order has been in place, been imposed and is in place. It's a placebo and it's not worth the paper it is written on. What can we do? We can mobilise public opinion. I can come out with my placard at 64. Not an easy task in severely hot weather because I have a thyroid problem and hot weather makes me quite ill. There is nothing to be done now except to stage a 40-hour protest for the coming weeks. There's nothing else we can do. I've had some support from various neighbours. I've also been threatened by one of my neighbours. And the suffering that this has caused to me in some ways outweighs the stress of the slab drilling and the horror and the terror that this has entailed. Some of these people I've known for 28 years, to have my safety threatened, threats made repeatedly that my placard would be broken in front of me, and that if I appeared on the forecourt taking refuge from the drilling in the noisy periods, I would be accosted. So we are not actually even allowed the right of protest in Manor Apartments without what I thought were trusted neighbours actually ganging up on the people that through no fault of their own have a disability. Mine is called hyperacuity. It is a recognised medical condition. I cannot cope with extremely loud noises. It's a lifelong problem that I've had. And normally, if a fire engine or a police car passes me on the road, I have to stick both fingers in my ears. It's a disability, and there is nothing that can be done about this. It's not my fault. It's something I was born with. I'm 64. I'm recovering from a ruptured bowel. It's a complete world of make-believe in this block, for rich and poor alike, as I am myself. I'm a pensioner. I should not have to be frightened behind my front door. I should not have to come out with a placard because the noise abatement order isn't worth anything at all, and it only really meant outside percussive demolition drills, waist high, held with two hands. And it was suggested, well, you know, the men have to do their work, that the council could be sued if they didn't get this work done. What about us? What about our lives? Some of us may not make it.